knowing that you had to sacrifice your career, your missus had to sacrifice her career to some degree, and all these things, how does that make you feel?
It's part of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of life. Of generation have to bring up a generation. I don't know. This is how I'm being taught back home in Africa. Like my dad, we all have to come up with another generation, representative of us. I felt good. I didn't feel as if I'm being deprived from many things. Okay, I felt like yes, I've achieved a lot.
Hello everyone and welcome to another installment of Figuring Out Fatherhood. My name is Chris Topper and I am your host. Today I'm here with Innocent. Innocent, my bro.
Hello Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming on my show. I appreciate you. What we do, we talk about fatherhood on this show, Figuring Out Fatherhood, as the name suggests. Innocent is a fitness coach and a father of 5. Innocent, please tell us a little bit about yourself and about your children and just how life is for you, really.
Welcome guys. My name is Innocent and I've been a father for the past 13 years now. I'm a father of 4 boys and 1 girl. My first son is 13 years old. The twin boys are 12. A girl is 10, and the last boy is 6 years old.
So what we do here on Figuring Out Fatherhood is we're gonna explore your journey as a dad, right? From your first son, how you met your son's mum, through to your second, third, fourth, to your 5th, to today. Okay, so let's start with your first son, right? His mum. How did you guys meet? How did she end up having your child?
I met her in a bus on my way back from buying a tie to go to church. And I brought the tie out and she said, "Oh, that's a nice tie." And I said, "Oh, great." And we stopped at the next bus stop and I took her down to a restaurant.
Same day?
Same day.
Shoot, baby. I love that.
And she was Jamaican, so I took her to a Nigerian restaurant to eat. So, have you had Nigerian food before? And I said, no, okay. Then I took her to a Nigerian restaurant with her. And that was it. We didn't see again after a few weeks. Then I saw her and we didn't go out for a few years.
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't go out for a few years. About 2 years later, then we started going out.
Okay.
And that was it.
And that was it, just like that. Okay, so let me make sure I understand this. Let me just make sure people that watch this understand this. So you're telling me that you were both heading somewhere on the bus, and then you met her, and wherever it is you were going didn't matter anymore. You decided, I'm going to take her out to eat, and you took her out to eat.
Yeah, my intention was to go stop at the next stop and go to a restaurant to eat. And while she stopped, I said, "I'm going down to eat. Do you want to come with me?"
Oh, okay.
And she said, "Why not?"
I love that. Okay, cool. So we told us how you met. You started dating 2 years later. She comes up to you, she says, "Innocent, I'm pregnant." I need to know, was this something that you guys had planned or spoken about? Like, I'm gonna stop using contraception or whatever?
It wasn't even planned. It was the first day I met her that we met together, that she got pregnant. And
after you started dating?
Yeah, the first day we met together in terms of intercourse.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't even touch her again for a few months. Actually, she found out she was pregnant, and I was like, "Whoa! I've only seen you once," and it was crazy. Then she had a baby. She decided to keep the baby, and she had a baby. After she had the baby, I was still interested in her. So okay, come, let's live a life together and raise a family. But she wasn't interested in that. Where I didn't push it further. I even went to the father, like tried to propose to her, but she turned it down, and that was it. Then she had a baby, Joshua, which is my first son. He's 13 years old now, and so we decided to have a collaboration of raising him together as a co-parenting. So I have to be giving her money every monthly, and every 4th week I have to pick Joshua up. But he was still 6 months old then. I used to pick her up from there and spend some time with her and take him back to the mom every week, every
Okay, so let's dig into that a bit more, right? So after intercourse, you didn't see her again for a little while. Then did you keep on speaking at that time?
Yeah, we just speak.
Yeah. Okay, and then one day she says to you, "Innocent, I'm pregnant."
Yeah, that really tripped me. Yeah.
It tripped you, like,
Yeah.
in what sense? Like, tell me how you felt, like when she.
I've only seen her once. I didn't even. It was crazy if I tell you how it happened. I only met her once, and we didn't even do. We didn't even do the stuff properly. I was just went in and she forced me back out, and that was it. And I was about to say no, it's not my baby. We haven't really had any much relationship about this to say it's mine, but I took it from her, and I'm not regretting anything now.
Did you do a paternity test?
No.
Okay. What was the reason behind that, if you don't mind me asking?
There was no reason. There was nothing behind it. I just believed, okay, she might not be lying. It must be mine.
And you just stepped up to be responsible. I love that. That's amazing. Okay, cool. And you have a great relationship with him now.
Yeah.
What's your relationship like with her now?
Yeah.
It's good. How were you guys able to establish a co-parenting relationship, considering the lead up to this may not have been ideal? You didn't really get to know each other beforehand. So how were you able to establish that?
I tried to invest my time to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried to invest my time, give him my time financially, because I have to build his future, which is one thing I really do adore in parenting, building the children's future. So I give him my time. He likes football, and he's a goalkeeper. So every weekend I do take him on a Sunday. Should have been today. I take him on a Sundays for football, and I provide for him every month, as in financially to the mom, and as well make sure I get him ready for his studies as well. Whatever he does, whatever that is suitable for him to progress in his future, I try to make sure he gets it.
Yeah, but my question, I guess, is how were you able to make sure that you remain present in his life, considering the fact that you didn't really know his mom initially, and she said she didn't want a relationship moving forward. So how were you able to navigate that and then remain in his life? Because it could have been easy for you to be like, you know what, I want no parts of this. So how were you able to establish that connection with him?
I believe this is my son. When he was born, he looked exactly like me. So to establish that just between me and knowing deep in my heart that this is my son, and I can't run away from what I've already committed myself into, even if the mom does not really want me to be involved in her life or to help with the child. But I believe in myself that this is my son, and I have to do whatever I'm going to do to make sure he's raised appropriately.
Was she like a willing collaborator? Like when you said, I want to be in his life, was she like, yes, I want you to be in his life? Or
Yeah, she was.
And financially, how did you come to the figure that you pay each month?
Financially, I give him. We established, okay, you'll be giving me such amount of money every month. I said, oh, that's too much. I'll be able to give you this.
So you negotiated, basically?
We did negotiate.
Okay. Cool. And that's your first son, and he's 13 now, right? Okay, great. Let's go into your next child. These are the twins, if I understand correctly. Okay, cool. So talk us through how you met their mum, the lead up. Again.
It was a crazy Thursday, Wednesday morning. I was at work, and she passed by, and she passed by again. Then she asked, "Do you want anything from the store?" I tend to work where she was working then, and I said, "Oh no, I'm fine." Then I used to go to gym then a lot, so I said, "Okay, give me a protein shake." She on her way back, she brought me a protein shake. I was surprised, and okay, thank you. A few weeks later, she traveled back, and I didn't see her for a long time. And when she returned back from her travel, I'm like, well, I've not seen you. Thankful the other day. And do you want to go out for lunch break? And I said, yeah, let's go. Then we started talking and it started from there. We started seeing each other. Then we became into a relationship, and good enough, she was pregnant, and found out that it was twin boys. I was marveled though, so I didn't really want any babies then because Joshua was 1 year old. And I'm like, I'm still having Joshua 1 year old, and you're pregnant now. It's gonna be a difficult time for me because I do have Joshua he was 6 months old. I do have him every weekend, even then. I said, I can handle this. How are we gonna do it? Well, we were quite negotiable with her. She did understand. Oh, don't worry. If you think you can't, let's do something. Then we decided to go and take the baby out. Once we get there and we found out it was twin boys, we came back home and we decided to keep the twins. And that was it.
Okay, cool. Let's dig into this, right? So she says to you, Innocent, I'm pregnant, right? I want to know your initial response to her when she said that, and then I want to know what was going on in your mind when she said that.
I was tripping in terms of I can't do that. It can't be because I just had a baby 6 months ago.
What? So you thought it didn't work that way?
Yeah, I say it's not gonna work that way. It's gonna be crazy for me. Well,
yeah.
I said, what am I going to do? It's gonna be hard.
So you said this to her, or was it in your head?
I said that to her.
Okay.
Not even, she knows I said that to her. Say it's not gonna work. Joshua is 6 months old and you're having a baby now and you're pregnant for this guy, so it's gonna be difficult for me. But she was really cooperative. She was thinking on my own side and her own side as well. She said, I can't raise the baby alone.
She said that?
Yeah, if you can't be there to help with the baby. At the end time, we decided to keep the baby, and that's a good thing.
Okay, so my next question, as you can probably guess, you find out that you're having twins. How did you feel when you realized I'm actually having twins?
I was the happiest man on earth that day because I've never had twins in my family, in generations maybe. And I sat back and I was like, wow, how did this happen? And I digged into it and digested it and said, you know what, we gotta keep it. And we kept it.
You kept the babies, okay. And these are children number 2 and number 3. So let's talk about the pregnancy itself, right? So you're navigating, you already let us know that you probably knew it was difficult, right? It was gonna be difficult because obviously you had Joshua. How are you to navigate the pregnancy, considering how difficult it was? And I think you mentioned you were studying as well. So you were studying, you were navigating co-parenting with your first son's mum and raising him, and now you have a wife that's pregnant. It's a lot for any man. But I want to know how you in this, and how were you able to hold it together in that moment?
But she was cooperative. My wife was very cooperative. She helped. She was understanding in terms of taking care of Joshua then, so I can bring Joshua home. She takes care of me.
Okay.
But I can do my own thing and go to work and go back to school while she was pregnant then. And if not without her help at that very time, it would have been more difficult than it should have been. But she gave herself time
to
help. And
yeah.
I really give it to her. You know.
So I guess my question for you, how are you able to blend both families together? How are you to make, because obviously some women can be like, you know what, you have a son, I don't really want to. But she's taken upon herself to actually help you, to some degree, raise your son, even though it's not hers technically. So how were you able to do that, to make sure that she was okay with this?
Well, it depends on the relationship you have with the relationship I have with my wife. Then it was quite understandable. We do agree on things. We do talk about things ask her if she's okay with it, and before I go into it first, I don't just jump into
Yeah.
it without seeing how she feels about it. So she was fine with it. So for me, I felt she being okay with it, I was comfortable to do that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's the pregnancy now. She's given birth, right? So I think you touched on this earlier. She's given birth. How are you then navigating a newborn, a 1-year-old, work, studies, and a wife who's just given birth?
It became difficult to pick Joshua up every weekend or every time because it was a handful of many things at that very time. So, and in order to put craziness in the missus' head, I have to I spoke to Joshua's mom. I'm gonna give a time a little bit off and pick him up, but I'll come down and see him or take him around and bring him back due to she's having a baby. Now she had a baby, twins. It's gonna be difficult for her to be able to manage Joshua and the twins and me because I'm going to work. I'm not always there at night, and that was it.
How did she take that? How did she take? Not when I say she, I'm talking about Joshua's mum. How did she take
She
it?
was okay with it.
Yeah.
She was okay with it. She was understandable. From women perspective, you have to look into that as well. So what I did was that I make sure I'm always there, not to disappoint my agreement with her. So I said to her, I'll come and see him. I'll pick him around, take him and bring him back home to her. So he wasn't spending much night with me anymore then because of the situation at home. But I normally go see him on Sundays, maybe take him to uncles and take him around just to make sure he sees me and we have that relationship.
I love that. Yeah.
And I'll take him back home.
Okay. Now let's dig into life with the twins, right? Twins. Wow, it's double the effort, double the trouble. How did you find having twins? Raising twins, how did you find that?
It was fun and it was stressful.
Okay.
The fun part of it is you see two people in one time and you're happy you're having two boys at the same time. The stress part of it is when Hezekiah is up from bed crying, Tyrese is up. So you can handle. You have to take Hezekiah to the living room with me so Tyrese can sleep. So one of us have to be up either. All right. So mostly at night during the weekend, if I don't work, I have to either stay in the living room with one, while Mrs. stays in the room with the other one, so they don't wake up together. So it was a very difficult situation in terms of handling that at that very moment. But as time goes on, it picks up and we got used to it.
Okay. And then let's go on to the third child. How soon after the twins did she tell you that she's pregnant again for another child? So this is the fourth child, no, the fourth child.
Yeah, after 2 years.
2 years,
Yeah,
okay.
2 years to have two.
So let's dig into this. She says to you, innocent, I'm pregnant. Once again, how did you feel?
She didn't even know she was pregnant. She was just sleeping and being lazy every single time. And I'm like, woman, go and check yourself out, And we found out she was pregnant. I'm like, what have I done again? Yeah, it wasn't really something that really bothered me then, because she've already mentioned that I wanted to have 5 children or 4 children.
Oh, she said this to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when that happened, I'm like, wow, you're pregnant again. We didn't plan this. We never planned any of the pregnancy. And I took it. I didn't. I was happy.
Were you?
Yeah, I was happy. I came from a big family. I came from a family of 6, so noise was something we always do have around us. I was happy. I didn't even bother about it.
Do you reckon this is because you'd navigated more difficult times previously?
Yeah, I think I got used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got used to it. So due to the situation, I'm like, I'm into this now. So I started. I wasn't bothered about it. It's not until the day she had the last, which is the last baby, then I became worried about it. I'm like, oh my God, this is killing me now. Because it deprives us from many things, even from career, even from achieving some other things, to look after. You have to give your time to your children.
I agree.
You have to invest your time to your children, because we invested a lot of time in them in terms of she have to stop work to look after them. That's our finances going away, and our future being out from what she did. We have to invest our own time as well, not even finances, to look after them. Those times are being deprived from us, but it's all joy when you invest your time in your children, knowing that your time invested in them is reaping, it's beneficial, and you're trying to see that the future is brighter than what you have at the moment for yourself. And that's just the joy of having children.
Okay. Still on the topic of the fourth one. So she told you she's pregnant, and then you were happy. Were you okay with it?
I wasn't happy for the fourth one. I said to you I wasn't
No, sorry. So I'm talking about the fourth one for you, not for her. So this is after the twins.
Okay, for me.
After the twins. So you were happy. You said you were happy.
Yeah, for the
you were
fourth
happy.
one.
Yeah.
For the girl,
So okay. So I want to let's dig in a little bit into the pregnancy and to after she's given birth, right? So now you're navigating having 3 children, 1 boy and 2 and twins.
Yeah.
How were you able to navigate that and obviously support her through the pregnancy? Were you still working and studying at the time?
Yes, I was still working and studying.
With
all my finances and all my time were just given to the family.
Okay.
I had to make a plan of, I have a system then. It's like a cycle. So I wake up in the morning, I take them to school, I bathe them, take them to school. I move ahead and I go to school. I pick them up from school, come back home, have a rest. When she returns, then I go to work in the night. It was all something me and the missus talked about, and so okay, let's work it this way. So we agreed, okay, you do a night shift, so if you want to stay home dad, you stay home dad while I work. But I'll just be like, I'm just gonna use the work at night to get my mind off. Meditate and ease myself out a little bit, and as well help more financially at home.
How long did this go on for?
Sorry?
How long did this go on for, the cycle?
It didn't stop because we had another one immediately after that.
When you say immediately, how soon are we talking?
We had another one after the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you had another son.
Then we had another son.
Yeah, but how long? So after she gave birth, how long soon after?
After the boys, she took 2 years before she got pregnant
For the girl.
And
then after that, she took how long?
So she took time again. That took about 6 years later to get another baby.
6 years later, someone. Okay, that's not too bad then. Okay. So you said the cycle never stopped in terms of you.
In terms of me, then she had a baby girl after 2 years. It was like back to the beginning again.
Yeah.
So it's like from thinking if we ended up, then we went back again to the start up again. So it was just like going round and round after a few years, about 5 years straight.
Okay, so the fifth one, and this is the final child, you said that when she told you she was pregnant, your brain was scattered.
I was crazy. I didn't take that from her. I was like, how come, man, woman? I didn't want to have any more babies.
Yeah. When you say how come, I need to understand because you're both willing participants in this situation.
Yeah, but I said how come? Because it took time. It took that long years for her to have another to be pregnant. 6 years in between.
Were you on contraception at the time, either of you?
She never been on contraception. She was, but she came off. She never been on contraception because there was an effect on her. So I was just being careful.
Were you though?
Yeah.
Were you though?
I was being careful for that long years, It took time for that young age.
And then what happened? You stopped being careful and then she got pregnant?
Some things happen. The family, as husband and wife at home, is not every time you have to be careful. You can just do it, So
I guess what the point I'm trying to get to is that there's only so much shock you can have.
I was shocked. I was thrilled in terms of I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't because normally when we are, if we get in, if you're not careful, then I can go into the store and buy high contraception. I don't know how that tripped me, and after a few months, I have to take it. I take it out.
Okay.
We gotta keep it, and we kept it.
So we touched on the 5 children now, all your kids and how they came about. I want to talk about your experience as a father of 5. Between me and you, and I guess everyone else watching this show, is there any resentment? Because you mentioned your career and sacrifices you've had to make because you've had 5 children. I want to get into how you actually feel, because this is the purpose of the show. I want to know how the fathers feel in these situations. I know you mentioned being thrilled and how it pays off in the end and how exciting it is and all this stuff, but I want to know how you felt in that moment, knowing that you had to sacrifice your career, your missus had to sacrifice her career to some degree, and all these things. How does that make you feel?
It's part of life. It's part of life. Of generation have to bring up a generation. I don't know. This is how I'm being taught back home in Africa. Like my dad, we all have to come up with another generation, representative of us. I felt good. I didn't feel as if I'm being deprived from many things. Okay, I felt like yes, I've achieved a lot. Having the children, I felt satisfied in my heart. I've really accomplished.
Oh wow!
What God says you should come and do on earth, go and reproduce.
You did it 5 times. You took it very literally. Yeah. Of course. No. I'm happy to hear that, man. Because for me, I know fathers who have 1 child and they regret it, and 2 children and I wish it never happened. So knowing that you have 5 and you're...
Most people do regret it. It depends on how they're being brought up as well. Your upbringing might be able to tell you about if you want to have babies, if you want to make children or not. So I never regretted having my children.
I agree to some degree about it being about your upbringing, but I think there's an element of selflessness that's needed to be willing to sacrifice your life and your interests for your children. And I think that's where a lot of the regret and resentment comes into it, because a lot of people, they see the child as stopping them from achieving what they want for themselves personally. Yeah,
it's true. Well, why the upbringing brings it into it is, if you look, well, should I say 80% of it? So it depends on how you're being brought up. My dad gave all he had for us. He literally spent all his money, all his time. He takes us out on activities, and why wouldn't I do the same for my children?
Let me ask you a question. It may be a bit personal, but do you think that's how it's meant to be? That you give all your time and your money to your children?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's how it should be. So you can't have you can't have a baby, you can't make up children without looking after them or without setting a future for them.
100%. No. I guess the question I'm asking is just it's knowing that obviously having children is within our power, right? Like if you're going out having sex, you're opening yourself to the possibility of having children, and it's just like the way I kind of see it is if you're making these conscious choices, you have to deal with the consequences, which is obviously sacrifices that you make. But I say all this to say, the selflessness part of it, not everyone's willing to do that. And my advice to them is don't go in. If you know this is how you feel, in my opinion, you shouldn't be having sex, because every time you have sex, it's an opportunity for you to have a child.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it depends on individual perspective.
Yeah.
How you perceive things. You can't go around and start having sex with so many people. You're gonna have 100 children and taking care of them. So having a home is suitable, whereby you can pay attention on one family and raise them up, and then jumping around to have babies.
Okay.
That's my own part of it.
Okay, so my question, again, I have another question. So you had quite a number of children in a short time span, right? I think it was less than a year after your first one, you had the second one. Would you, if you had an opportunity to go back and change things, would you space them out, or would you do it again the exact same way?
Yeah, I would like to space them out, but you can't plan it. You have to plan this with a woman and for it to happen for you. Well, what about if the woman don't want to do that? and she came out want to have a baby or true and pass it through. So what you're gonna be? You can't just be selfish on your own self and say, oh,
Why not?
yeah.
Why not?
You can't.
Why not?
You just have to come into agreement. If he doesn't agree with you, that means you gotta break up the family.
So, to make sure I understand you correctly, you're saying that even if you want to space her out, whatever she wants is what you have to honor and respect.
Not that you have to honor what she wants, but it has to be a total agreement between you and her. She doesn't want this, and he doesn't want this. So how do you come to agreement?
You negotiate, you compromise.
Negotiate. So she's gonna come to your own side, or do you have to come halfway?
Are you actually asking my opinion about what I think?
Asking if it's you.
Oh, good question actually. I really get asked questions on this show. I think for me, these are conversations I'd like to believe I would have with a partner before we get married, because my views on having children back to back. Actually, let me take it a few steps back. My views on having loads of children in the first place, I don't believe in that. I was brought up I was the only child till I was 14. Then I had a sister when I was 14, and there's only 2 of us. So I like the idea of a big family, but I've also witnessed what it's like to have a big family and resources aren't enough to stretch for everyone. And with everything in life, there's pros and cons, right? With pros, you have a big family, it's always fun. Holidays are always great. Your children always they have their own playmates, they're never bored. They have people who are always in their corner, they have their backs. Those are the pros. But the cons, financially, it's tough.
It is tough.
It's tough.
But as a woman, some women don't have that time. Women have a specific time they can be able to produce or reproduce. So if you meet a woman that is about 30s now, okay, and you're giving her 6 years to get another baby and 6 years to make another baby, you might not have that chance to make that baby.
I don't disagree, but again, and I hate to come across very obnoxious and selfish with this, but I need to remember, and everyone needs to keep in mind that this is what she wants. I don't have to agree with that. If I were dating and I know she wants 2 children in 3 years, for example, let me use myself as an example personally right now.
I do believe you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to be. I met my wife when she was 30s.
Okay.
Okay, so.
You knew there was a possibility that she was going to want.
Yeah. The possibility of time. Why not?
And you're open to that.
Yeah, there was not much time to space for babies. Do you understand what I mean? So if I space babies, then it would have been maybe I might not be able to have this. Okay, take that off. You might not be able to get to that stage. So
I understand.
That's one of the reasons you have to think about. If you get into a relationship with a woman.
Yeah. I say all this to say anyway, I think it's important that as men, we need to take consideration, like when we're making a decision on who we're going to be with and who we're going to have children with, we need to think about all the factors, right? Because if you meet someone in their 30s and she says to you that she wants to have a big family, and she'll says to you that she's aware that her body clock is, I don't know what words, use capped, fine, I don't know. I think before you decide to settle down for it, you need to actually think if this is what you want for yourself. Because if you didn't want this for yourself in a sense, and you ended up with 5 children, I can promise you there'll be a lot of resentment from your side. But because you wanted it as well is the reason why I believe it's worked out. So, okay, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, and let's talk your first son's mum, right? Her and your wife. How is that like having a blended family?
Yeah, she's alright with it.
She's alright with it?
She's alright.
They get on?
Yeah, they do get on sometimes. Women do get on sometimes. Sometimes they might nag. Yeah, but there's nothing they can do then have to collaborate some time to, he's coming over, he's not coming over. They have to have that understanding about, okay, my son is going to your house, saying I don't like your wife. It's going to be a problem for your son to get there. In order for that to work, as a man, you have to build a good relationship within your wife and your ex to understand the situation they're going into. Sometimes there might be a little bit of misunderstanding between both of them. So if your ex knows his son is coming to your wife's house and they're not in good terms, definitely your son is not going to come to your house because she won't allow that to happen. So you have to build a good relationship between your ex and your wife in terms so they can, he's going to my son's house. He's going to my house. Your wife is there, okay. Knowing capable that my wife will be able to take care of the son.
Okay, and talking about Joshua, right? he's the oldest, so he's obviously going to be very aware of the fact that he comes and goes into your home at the moment, and he's obviously aware he's got siblings from a different woman who you live with, right? So how do you make him, or how do you make sure that he doesn't feel like an outsider in your home?
It's from the beginning. So in order for that to happen, it's had to start from the grassroots, whereby he's small. So the background of how it's being built keeps on going. He will never feel like an outsider.
So you make sure you remain consistent in his life, and you always feel okay. And what's his relationship like with his siblings? Does he himself feel like? So the word, I guess, is half siblings. Does he feel like a half sibling, or does he feel like a sibling?
It's definitely he will feel like a half sibling. He feels like a half sibling because he knows he's not constantly at home. So he's not, these are my half siblings.
Do you talk to him about that?
Yeah, I do.
And how do you approach that conversation?
Say, we're going to see your brothers today. Are you okay with that? Yeah, he's fine. And that's it.
That's amazing. Okay, cool. As we start to round up, Innocent, as a father of 5, I have to pick your brain for advice. You know, you've been through the trenches. Like, I don't know people that have 5 children, so I want to know, what advice would you give a younger you, knowing that future is going to have 5 children? What would you say to him?
Don't go in if you're not ready for it. You have to be ready for it, knowing ready in terms of financially, knowing in terms of spending your time, knowing ready in terms of you're going to be deprived for many things. So my advice is you have to be ready and to give your time and investment to it.
I want to make sure I understand what you mean. So when you say ready, are you saying that I should be ready? You should be ready to sacrifice?
Sacrifice. You have to be ready to sacrifice your time.
Is this coming from?
Invest your time.
Is this coming from a place where you felt like you weren't ready to sacrifice your time when you first?
No. You have to sacrifice your time to have 5 children in a short period.
No, the reason I'm asking is because I want you will say this to yourself, and is this coming from a place of where you felt like you weren't ready to sacrifice your time initially when you first had your children, or was it like you realize now?
So I realized that it is going to take my time, my investment, probably everything, to be able to give them that time, to have a good time as well. So my time that has been taken from me meant sometime I'm meant to have my own special time of myself, but thinking about the children as well, I have to invest my time in them. The little time I have to make sure they have that little time of daddy's time is quite important. And that is in them. Oh, daddy is coming today to pick me up. That's the time invested in Joshua, right? Picking Joshua up, taking him to football. That's the time. If you're not ready for that, it's not gonna work.
Any more kids on the horizon?
No. I'm done.
Pardon?
I'm done.
You're done?
I'm done, yeah.
I'm glad. Innocent, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming, man. Where can we find you on social media? I need to promote whatever it is that you do.
Inos Fitness.
Spell that out for us, please.
Inos Fitness, INOX, FINEX.
Innes Finex.
Yeah, Inos Fitness.
Okay. And on there you promote.
Sorry?
And on there you promote what is it that you do? Your fitness coaching?
I'm a fitness coach, so I tend to look after people in terms of fitness and put them back in shape. And literally, that's it.
Yeah? Cool. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much once again. And yeah, that's a wrap.
So, Chris,
my bro. Good, man. Thank you. Well done, man.